Welcome to another episode of Speaking with the Senator. I'm Senator Kevin Avard, and I'm here today talking about politics. And of course, we're well engaged in the political season the time of year. And I think people are starting to pay more and more attention to what's going on. And I think it was Tip O'Neill who said all politics is local. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about local politics, specifically Ward 5. And a potential candidate who's running for state representative. And she's she understands very much what's going on in our state. She served as a state representative at one point, and she's also on the school board and now running again for state representative in Ward 5. And with that, I'd like to welcome Paula Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and we appreciate you stepping up to the plate. A lot of people are worried about what's going on with their local property taxes. They're worried about what's going on with schools. I hear that they're worried about the border security and how individuals that are taking advantage of Social Security and Medicaid that don't even live here, that aren't even from the area. They're concerned about the overspending and what's going on in Nashua. And you're pretty well familiar with a lot of this stuff that's going on. And you're stepping up into the plate. You know what's going on, and there's one thing that you don't do is you don't take any bull.
No, I don't. Thank you. Last year when I lost my election for an incumbent to the Board of Ed, which I'd like people to know, the New Hampshire Supreme Court took my case. So waiting to go to the New Hampshire Supreme Court.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many times has Nashua lost against us in the Supreme Court?
I don't know, but it just keeps going on and on and on. And, I said last year I was going to retire. I'm done. I'm going to retire. That's the end of it. I'm done with politics. Well, fast forward, of course, the primary was coming, and of course, my favorite candidate is President Trump. I worked on his campaign in 2015, 16, 20.
I remember.
Yep. I met him in 2012 when he came to Nashua with the Chamber of Commerce. And, he really commands a room. He's a brilliant man, and he has a heart of gold. Mm-hmm. And when I met him in 2012, I asked him if he would sign my book, and he said, yeah, come around. And I introduced myself, and I said I'm a former Alderman at large, former Board of Ed, former state rep, welcome to Nashua and all this. And at the end, he was doing The Apprentice, and I said to him, are you going to fire Nene? And that whole day, it was, what a thing to say. But I was a big fan of his on The Apprentice.
Yeah.
And then I kind of followed him around that day, and his lawyer then was Michael Cohen.
Oh.
Was there. And so at that point in time, I said to him, if you ever run for president, I'm on your team. And then in 2015, I was number 2 on his team in New Hampshire. And I did, if people don't know, I did a lot of CNN panels, and I was on Juju Chang Nightline. She and I battled it out. And I found a picture. I was on a panel with Anna Marie, I think her name is, who's on The View, the Spanish woman. And they said, Johnson supported takes over in a rant on the whole panel. Well, I wasn't ranting. I was telling the facts, and even back then they were trashing the man.
It's interesting how that if you speak out against the accepted narrative, they put you in such a negative light. But you can't be an independent thinker and without becoming a target for the left.
Exactly, and the sad thing was, and I did Chris Hayes shows twice, 5 times on a panel with CNN with Allison Camerata. The last time they flew us down to New York, my husband would say to me, they're coming and picking you up in a limo, at the house, and they take her down to Connecticut. And then I did a couple of other ones on CNN. I did Inside Edition with Laura Trump.
Yep.
She called me up, and I introduced myself to her again at the primary, and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the one. She goes, oh my God, that's you. And I go, that's me. Welcome to Nashua. I live a couple of blocks from this high school. And, I just find something in this man that nobody was ever willing to step up to the plate and do what he's doing.
And take what he's taking.
And he even took a bullet to the ear.
The false narrative on Russiagate, that was a hoax.
Yep.
Hillary Clinton paid for a false dossier, millions of dollars, She never got in any trouble for that.
No.
She destroyed 3,000 emails
Yep.
on her against the subpoena.
Yep.
Adam Schiff said, oh, they had the goods on him because of Ukraine. None of it was true, and none of them have been held accountable to this day.
But you know, Kevin, here's what I say to a lot of my friends, because I look at this, I happen to look at it like at another dimension level, because it's almost like you got to look down upon it. People probably say, this woman's nuts. No, because you're pulling yourself out of it, and you're looking at it from a different perspective. Is that everything the Democrats project on us, it's really what they are doing.
Exactly.
We don't have riots. We have peaceful rallies until this, what happened with President Trump on Saturday.
Pelosi actually admitted that it was her fault.
Right.
And we got her on film.
And why is she in jail? Why is she being why? And all these people that they subpoena to Congress and they don't show up, why aren't they held in contempt like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon that had to go to jail
and
for
all
it?
the secret documents, classified documents that were in President Biden's possession when he was when he was a senator,
Right.
when he was a vice president. Well, we can't prosecute him because he's an old man. Well, how can he be running the country? You see, we have something going on that we're not privy to. But the fact that this guy has been sitting in the basement prior to the first time in 2020, they knew he had dementia then, and everything was okay with him because somebody else was pulling the strings. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, I know. And I'll bet you can guess who it is.
And the media has been complicit in this. But finally, when they couldn't hide it anymore,
The debate.
now they're going to throw him under the bus. But it's too late because the voters have spoken. They pushed out every candidate that was running against them, including RFK. Anybody with an independent thought in their head wasn't allowed to run against him. Now he can barely speak. He can barely walk. You know, he's in bed by 11. And so our country is in danger at this point with this man being as president. But I want to move on because we got a local election and you're running for state
Right.
representative.
But you know, that all kind of ties in because of the fact that it's local,
Yep.
it's state, and it's federal. But it's the federal government that funds everything from the federal down the state to the local. And we're so dependent on the federal dollars that at the state level and local level, we really shouldn't be anymore because the federal government is dictating to us. And at the local level, what I'm looking at, there's quite a few things here that I feel that we need to address. And I brought my little papers here because people say, why do you walk around with papers? And I say, well, it makes me look smart. But the other thing is, I have to say, I don't remember everything anymore. I hit 70, but I don't feel 70. I can outdo some of the 20-year-olds physically. But, you know, I have to say, at the state level, what the Democrats are really going after, they're telling everybody that us Republicans are going to get rid of abortion. And we have no intention of it. And I just want to let the viewers know that we have 24 weeks. And a lot of people don't equate 24 weeks what it is. That's 6 months. We allow a woman to have an abortion up to 6 months, whether we believe, whether we're pro-life or not. That's not the issue. The state has a law, and you and I have spoken about this, and that's what the law allows. I have no intention of changing anything. And I wish the Democrats would get off their soapbox.
It's their only issue.
That's the only issue. They're not talking about how high our electric rates are coming in the state now with Eversource. They're not talking about how high inflation is with food, how our seniors who are on Medicare and Social Security, and how much we pay, really, because my husband and I are in that category. And when I took a look at, you know, you can't just have straight Medicare. You have to have supplemental or you have to buy an Advantage plan.
Right.
And I calculated between what Medicare takes out, Social Security takes out every month for my Medicare, and what I pay Anthem a month. By the end of the year, it's over $4,000. You take my husband and me, that's $8,000 out of income that we could semi-retire on, but we can't because our property taxes are so high, and I don't
they're
want
going to go up.
Yep, I don't want an income tax. I don't want a sales tax. It's about spending. What are your needs? What is your priority? What is government's responsibility, and what is our responsibility?
The government seems to want to get more and more money so that it can grow more government, so that it can take more and more money, and it builds an engine to keep itself sustained. But there are individuals that are on fixed incomes that are really
right.
feeling the inflation. They really are feeling it.
And now seniors are a lot, and I'm not saying the young families aren't, but a lot of the
They can't buy houses.
Right. There's no inventory because a lot of it is because our seniors who wanted to go down to Florida couldn't go because the cost of homeowners insurance and auto insurance went up so high. You're trading one big bill for another, and then you're leaving what you got up here. And if you're down there and you're miserable and you can't get a job, what's going to happen? You can't live. But I wanted to talk about that, and I also wanted to talk about a bill that was ITL'd, inexpedient to legislate. It was House Bill 362-FN. And this bill, I think, is a very important bill for people who have a disability of any kind. It was a bill with human rights. And I spoke to Representative Lynn, who's a former judge.
Former Supreme Court Justice. Yep.
And it's relative to complaint procedures in cases before the Commission for Human Rights. And sometimes it can take almost 2 years to get your complaint there. And then if they see that they like it and they take it, that complaint can be moved to Superior Court, snatched right out underneath you, where you can have a lawyer that's going to work with you at Human Rights. That lawyer might not go with you to Superior Court because it's so much more work. And the bill, really, it's what it does. It doesn't.
I don't even remember this one though. But when
it was brought up
did
to
it pass
me,
the House or
it got ITL'd.
in the House?
Yeah. And the reason I know about it because I was speaking to a lawyer about it, and she was talking to me, and I read a lot of it. And the methodology, this bill provides that only the complainant can remove the case from Human Rights Commission to court. So if you're going after a city or an employer, they can't move it out.
Right.
Because their goal is once they move it out, you're stuck in Superior Court. And if this case isn't big enough, you're going to get no attorney that will take your case.
Interesting.
So now you're against these big attorneys, whether it's a government or whether it's like an employer.
Who voted against this, by the way?
I don't know. I can't find the original one that I.
Was it out of committee? It was ITL'd?
I think, yeah, I believe it was out of committee.
That's interesting.
And the New Hampshire Human Rights Commission indicates that this bill seeks to change current law to retain respondents at the commission through the adjunctation of public hearing. And so, you know, this really hurts the smaller person. Yeah. The person, and I don't mean to demean anybody, but I'm just saying that people who don't have the money to get a lawyer,
right,
pay them hourly, because that's the only way a lot of time the lawyers are going to take that case to Superior Court. And so I read this bill, and I kind of looked at it, and I said, you know, if I can get elected, I want to resurrect this.
Can I see this real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm wondering in committee who voted against it, because Queen, Smith, that's interesting.
It is interesting. It is interesting. And so,
but it's looking out for the individuals that don't have the means, whereas other people
exactly
do.
Right.
And that's one of the things that, you know, when you can help somebody that's a trophy in life. That's what we do. That's what we're trying to do up there is help individuals. I know border security seems to be on individuals' minds as well. We know that just from Pittsburgh alone, since October, it was 7,000. Now it's up to 12,000 individuals from 70 different nations that have come into New Hampshire. We don't know who they are.
You know,
they don't know who they are.
Let me say this. When I was in the House, and I want everybody to know, I used to be a Democrat. When I sat in the House in 2005, 2006, I was a Democrat. And in 2020, I put a sign on my lawn, #walkaway. And one of the biggest reasons was I've never met a group of people that was so hostile that somebody was pro-life and they would call a coat hanger. And I was just horrified that we would name call like that.
Yeah.
You can't have an opinion around them. And so I voted against the Real ID Act. And they said to me, well, why are you doing that? And I said, because we're tracking the wrong people. We're tracking U.S. citizens.
Right.
We're not tracking people who, and this was back in 2005, 2006, we're not tracking people who are coming into this country illegal. That was back then. I also voted against the morning after pill. And they were horrified again. And I said, because I have a 15-year-old daughter. And I said, well, some kids can't talk to their parents. Okay. But there's other means than a pharmacist giving a young kid a pill.
Without the parent knowing.
Without the parent knowing. You can't give an aspirin in school or a Tylenol, and you're giving something that can kill them if they don't know contraindication if they're on other medications. So I voted against it. I'm very proud of that I voted against these two bills. I voted against other things I can't remember, but these are the ones that stuck out on me.
And then you were ostracized, I'm sure, after that.
They want, but when I was asked to run, I told the people who asked me in the Democratic Party, I was not going to vote party line. I was going to vote, and this is the way it has to be. You have to vote what's best for your constituents, what's best for your town, your city, and your ward. That's what it's all about. It's not about party line. Can you reach across the aisle? Absolutely.
You have to.
You have to. But
you can still keep your principles at the same
exactly. Thank you.
At the same time.
Thank you for getting the words out.
No, but that's I've been kind of uttering the same thing lately. It just seems like somebody saw that I was talking to a Democrat. Exactly. And they said, "Why are you talking to the enemy?" And I'm looking at him like, "Wait a minute, hold on. That's a human being. That's somebody that's made in the image of God. I can disagree with them 90% of the time. That doesn't mean I have to hate them."
That's right.
And they're not the enemy. They're just somebody that I might disagree with. But at the same time, I might need that person for a vote on a particular issue.
That's exactly right.
And I can keep my principles at the same time. And when you learn that art, you move the goalpost towards your constituents, even if it's a little bit. And when you're in a district like, for instance, like mine, you have 3 wards in Nashua. I think I've won 1 ward once, and it's your ward. Out in Ringe, New Ipswich, Greenville, Mason, I win. But in Nashua, it leans a little bit more left.
Right.
And I have to be the senator for everybody.
That's right.
And so building a coalition to represent everybody at the same time is a very, very tricky thing to do. And even as a state representative, you're representing a little over 3,000 individuals. Not one of those persons will ever agree with each other 100% of the time.
And I remember Jonah Wheeler, state representative, and he voted on a bill, and I said, oh my God, that's great. I sent him an email. I said, thank you very much. Some of my friends says, why are you talking to him? He's a Democrat. And I said, you know what? You need to send him an email, and you need to thank him because he voted the way you'd want him to vote, even though he's a Democrat. He did it twice on 2 bills, and I guess the second time, he was threatened.
I think there was, just this year, there was one Democrat that voted the wrong way, according to their party, when it came to, the biological sex
yes,
situation.
That's him. I believe that was him.
Yeah, and, he stood out, and he's standing up proud. Walked by him. How you doing today? Senator, I'm doing great. And we shook each other's hand. I said, I congratulate you on your courage. Continue. I didn't ask him to not be a Democrat anymore. I just said, well done. Good job. You're protecting the kids. But there are staunch individuals out there that want to be able to have operations on your children without you knowing about it. That's a fact. And the pornography that's in the schools. They want that in there. But boy, I'll tell you what, if you're caught with it, you're going to jail. But it's okay to be in the school libraries. Yeah. This is a problem. But when somebody actually stands up in that Democratic Party and says, no, I want no part of this, they ostracized him. He's walking proud. Walking proud.
Yeah. And I said to him, follow what your heart says, and you won't go wrong. And very nice email from him, apologized that it took him so long to get back to me. I respect him. I respect it.
Yeah, we'll disagree on other things. That's fine.
That's okay. You can agree to disagree and still walk away as a friend.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to learn, to reach across the aisle when I first got on the Board of Ed.
Yep.
And when I got on the Board of Aldermen, and even as a state rep, and then my last term on the Board of Education, I mean, I was a Lone Ranger, my votes. But, I would say to people, I like this guy. I like Neil Claffey. And people would say to me, but he's a Democrat. I said, I don't care. I like him. I have a good time. He would laugh, and I would laugh back at him. And I say, hey, Neil, you're on my side now. Nobody voted with you, And you can laugh and have a good time, and you can forget what parties you're in. Although Nassau was nonpartisan on those elections, but we know who they are.
Yeah,
But we know. But still, it doesn't matter. And you can have that nice conversation with them after the meeting's over. Because you know what? When the meeting's over, you've got to push all your differences aside because you're out of the meeting.
Yep.
It has nothing, you're off, it's like being off the clock on the job.
Yeah. And
be cordial.
Right. And be cordial. And, as a Christian, we're to love our neighbors, we're to love strangers, we're to love our enemies. We're to love. And when you lose that because somebody's different than you, you've lost completely the whole idea of what being social and being a good neighbor is all about.
We talked about, Trump, and we talked about the border. I think it needs to be closed down. I think all the borders needs to be closed down because I want to know who's coming into my country.
Yep.
And if you want to come here, come in the right way. And you'll speak to a lot of immigrants, and they'll tell you, we came in the right way. We work for what we have. And we respect everybody because, you're part of America. I worry about who's here because you don't know who's here in this country right now. But I want to get back to you when when you're talking about being a good Christian. They had a young man who gave a speech, I think it was last night. He's Jewish on one of the campuses. And he said he voted for Bernie Sanders. And he said, don't hate me for it.
No, but we'll look at you like, well, go ahead.
But, we all make mistakes. I was a Democrat at one time.
Yeah.
But, I understand what he's going through because I'm Jewish. And when I sat in the chamber and you're attacking all Jews, it's people who want to ceasefire. Not every Jew is bad. And not every person who's in Palestine is bad. You have to take a look at what it is. It's the government who runs all this. It's not the people who went out and said, oh, we just want a war today. It's the governments that create these wars and their cabinets. And when I sat there and I listened to them, and you saw what happened on the campuses, and you saw how they went after these Jewish kids because all they wanted to do was go to class, and they attacked them.
Yeah.
They did nothing to them. Yeah. They're minding their own business. Then they wanted to take down our flag. They don't even respect our flag. And it's a shame what's going on here. What's happening in the Middle East has spilled over into this country again. When you listen to some of the kids on TV, and they interviewed them, Communist News Network, interviewed, and they said, why are you here? One girl said to her friend, why are we here? I got a car. What am I here for?
Exactly. I've seen that.
And it's sad.
They're just being used.
And if you're going to fight on principle and know what you're fighting for.
But here's the thing, and I really think this is pervasive in our country.
And let me just say something here before you go there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had it on our college campuses here too.
Yeah, we did.
And here's my problem. When these kids, they didn't protest peacefully. They rioted, some of them. They damaged our campuses. They were not in school. They were on federal funding or state aid of some kind.
Yeah.
Here's my answer to the parents. Round up your kids and pay for your own tuition now and expel them. Yeah. Let them learn a lesson because there are no consequences anymore. These kids run free. I can say my kids are older. I have grandkids now, and I watch how they're raising their kids. No consequences, then these kids feel they get the free ride and they can do anything they want and damage anything. And why should the taxpayers or the state funding or the federal government have to pay, because it all comes from the pool of the taxes, Why should I have to pay for their damages? Send the bill to the parents and tell the parents to get them the kids out. And if these deans can't control their campuses, they need to be fired.
Well, there was one of the professors with a bullhorn saying, and they were encouraging the kids.
Yep.
But I think one of the things I wanted to express was the fact that there's this vacuum in the souls of a lot of our kids these days, and they just want to feel like they're part of a purpose.
Right.
Because if you don't have God in your life, then there's a void. I'm just sorry. There is a void.
I've learned that over the years.
Yeah, but if everybody wants to belong, everybody wants to feel as though they have a purpose, and if it's not there, if it's not, somebody else will take advantage of the fact that there's that void in you. And I think there's a lot of void in a lot of individuals out there. They just want to matter. They want to feel as though they're part of a cause.
Right.
Whether
In the clique.
and it's the clique or the cult or
Right.
whatever is out there. But
Demonic.
and a lot of people are being manipulated. Whether it's global warming, global cooling, global whatever. There's somebody wants to belong and feel as though they're making a difference. And they're not putting a lot of thought into it. And
No.
as you saw, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. And
there's a lot of things that they can do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rescue leagues. There's a lot of homeless
Sure.
people that they can help, and things like that.
and get so there's a lot going on.
Rather than destroying.
And the people that are actually encouraging this are the people that should be held responsible.
Exactly.
But I'm glad that you're running. How do people get in touch with you?
Oh, they can email me at pij53@aol.com. That's my email address. J is in Johnson, 53 at AOL.com. It's my initials to my name, the year I was born, at AOL.com.
And so, do you have a primary?
No,
Okay.
I'm the only Republican against
So,
3 Democrats.
If you want balance here in Nashua, start looking at both sides of the ticket instead of just one side. Paula's been she's an experienced legislator. She knows what's going on, and she's not afraid to speak her mind and work across the aisle. So with that, thank you for watching Speaking with the Senator. And if you want to come on the show, by all means. And if you like the show, please click the subscribe button and hit the like. We appreciate you watching. So until next week, thanks for watching.
Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.